Before we start, subscribe now, like this video, and comment where you're watching from. Because once you hear what happened in this case, you won't feel safe scrolling past the next one. The call that shouldn't have existed, the police found the camera first. It was blinking red beneath an overpass on the edge of the city, half buried in wet leaves and trash, still recording even though no one was there to stop it. Patrol lights washed the concrete pillars in blue, and red. As officers stepped carefully around scattered equipment, tripods snapped at the legs, a backpack torn open, a microphone crushed like someone had stomped on it in anger. But there were no people, no crew, no explanation. Just one camera, still alive, still watching. Officer Malcolm Hodes arrived minutes later, his boots echoing under the bridge as the night air thickened with the smell of river water and oil. Dispatch had called it in as possible assault, multiple missing persons, but no one had prepared him for the silence. It wasn't peaceful, it was staged. He crouched beside the camera without touching it. The red light pulsed steadily, patient and unbothered by the chaos it had witnessed. "Who left you here?" he muttered. A tech leaned over his shoulder. "It's been recording for hours." Hodes straightened. "Any faces?" The tech shook his head. "Not yet, but the audio's intact." They played it back through a speaker. At first, nothing but footsteps, laughter, the sound of young voices joking too loudly college kids, relaxed, careless. Then the tone shifted. The laughter thinned. Someone whispered, "Did you hear that?" Another voicemail, calm, confident, said, "Relax. This is exactly what we came for." Then running. Heavy breathing, a scream cut short. The recording ended with a dull thud, and a single word spoken so quietly it almost didn't register. Cut. Hodes exhaled slowly. "How many missing?" "5. Dispatch confirmed over the radio. Film students. They were working on a documentary. A documentary about what?" Hodes asked. No one answered him directly. They didn't have to. Beyond the police tape, past the bridge and into the woods, a cluster of tents and makeshift shelters stretched along the riverbank. Shopping carts, tarps, burned-out fire pits. The homeless camp locals called the Bend. The same place the students had gone to film. By sunrise, the city had a headline. "Students vanish during documentary shoot." By noon, rumors took over. By nightfall, one body was found. They discovered him downstream, caught against a rusted drainage grate. His name was T.J. Campbell, 21, athlete turned film major, no criminal history, no enemies anyone could point to. The water had done its damage, but not enough to hide the truth. This wasn't an accident. Detective Raina Bell took over the case before the press could chew it apart. She stood at the river's edge, arms crossed, eyes narrowed at the body being lifted away. "One down," she said quietly, 4 to find. Bell didn't waste time on sympathy. She worked fast, sharp, and relentless. Her first order was simple: identify everyone involved in that documentary. That's when the names surfaced. Alicia Moreno, Olivia Park, Nico Alvarez, and Zach Lehman. Zach was listed as the director, the leader, the one who pitched the idea. Bell sat in the precinct conference room flipping through Zach's profile while Hodes watched from the doorway. Film student, good grades, no priors. Professors described him as driven and fearless. One quote stood out. Zach doesn't believe in boundaries. He thinks discomfort creates truth. Bell closed the file. Where is he? Unknown, Hodes replied. His phone last pinged near the camp, then went dark. Bell leaned back. Convenient. They questioned the camp residents next. Most were wary, some hostile. A few spoke freely. One man described the students arriving with cameras, asking questions, offering food in exchange for interviews. They didn't come like journalists, he said. They came like tourists. Another woman remembered Zach clearly. He kept telling them not to stop filming, she said, even when folks got mad. Bell asked the question that mattered. Did you see anything strange that night? The woman hesitated, then nodded. He left with one of them, she said. The girl, Alicia, I think. He told the others to stay back, said he had something special planned. Bell and Hodes exchanged a glance. Special was never a good word in cases like this. That evening, Bell ordered a sweep of the woods near the camp. Search teams fanned out with flashlights and dogs. They found disturbed earth, footprints heading toward a maintenance trail, and a broken reflector marker tied to a branch like a breadcrumb. And then they found the hatch. It was hidden beneath a tarp and a layer of dirt, nearly invisible unless you knew where to look. The wood was old, reinforced from below. A rusted padlock hung open, swaying slightly like someone had just passed through. Bell knelt beside it. Open it, she said. An officer lifted the hatch. The smell hit first. Then the space beneath came into view narrow, shallow, barely tall enough to crouch in. A lantern sat on the ground, still warm. Zip ties hung from a nail. A coil of rope rested neatly in the corner. And at the back of the hole, pressed against the dirt wall, was a phone. Still powered on, still recording. Bell didn't touch it. Play it. The video shook violently as it started. Alicia's face filled the frame, eyes wide, hands trembling as she whispered, Zach, this isn't funny. Let me go. A male voice responded calmly. Off camera. This is the story. Stay with it. Alicia sobbed. You lied to us. The camera tilted. For a split second, Zach's reflection appeared in a piece of metal on the wall, smiling. Then the video cut. Silence fell over the clearing. Hodes felt his jaw tighten. He staged this, he said. Every step. Bell stood slowly. No, she replied. He planned it. As if on cue, Bell's phone buzzed. A notification. She frowned and turned the screen toward Hodes. A video had just been uploaded, public, titled The Homeless Camp Documentary, Unedited Footage. The account name froze the blood in Hodes's veins. Cold Case Cop. His podcast. His identity. Stolen. The video thumbnail showed the blinking red camera beneath the bridge. Bell's voice dropped. Tell me this isn't you. Hodes shook his head, already reaching for his phone. I didn't upload anything. The video began autoplaying. Zach's voice filled the clearing, calm and confident. If you're watching this, he said, the police are already behind me. That's fine. They always are. Bell stared at the screen. And if you're listening, Officer Hodes, Zach continued, You should know something. Hodes' chest tightened. This story doesn't end with me. The video cut to black. Then a message appeared. Next clip, uploading soon. Soon. Belle looked up slowly, eyes burning with fury. He's still filming, she said. And somewhere in the dark woods beyond the camp, a camera light blinked on again. Recording everything. The call that shouldn't have existed. The video spread faster than the police could stop it. By dawn, clips from the unedited footage were everywhere, cut, reposted, reframed by strangers who didn't care about context or consequences. Faces blurred, names guessed. The comment sections turned vicious. Some people blamed the homeless camp, others blamed the students. A few blamed the police, and more than a few blamed Officer Malcolm Hodes. Detective Raina Bell watched the numbers climb on her phone and felt the case slipping sideways. This wasn't just an investigation anymore. It was a spectacle. Shut it down, she snapped to the cyber unit. Copyright strike, emergency takedown, whatever you have to do. A technician shook his head. We're trying. The account's bouncing through mirrors. Whoever's running it planned this. Bell already knew who. Zach Lehman had turned the investig. The video spread faster than the police could stop it. By dawn, clips from the unedited footage were everywhere, cut, reposted, reframed by strangers who didn't care about context or consequences. Faces blurred, names guessed. The comment sections turned vicious. Some people blamed the homeless camp. Others blamed the students. A few blamed the police. And more than a few blamed Officer Malcolm Hodes. Detective Raina Bell watched the numbers climb on her phone and felt the case slipping sideways. This wasn't just an investigation anymore, it was a spectacle. Asian into a stage, and he was directing it from somewhere just out of reach. They brought Alicia Moreno in for a formal statement that afternoon. She sat in an interview room wrapped in a borrowed hoodie, hands trembling around a paper cup she hadn't touched. Her eyes were ringed with red, but there was a sharpness in them too, a focus born from surviving something that should have killed her. Belle sat across from her. Hodes leaned against the wall, silent. Start from the beginning, Belle said. Not the project. The moment it stopped feeling right. Alicia swallowed. Zach sold us this idea like it was important, like it mattered. He said people ignored what happened to the homeless, that no one wanted to look at real suffering. He said if we made them uncomfortable, we'd force them to care. And you believed him, Belle said. I did, Alicia replied. We all did, at first. She stared at the table, voice steadying as she spoke. He kept pushing. Longer shoots, later nights. He told us to keep filming even when people yelled at us, even when someone threw a bottle. Hodes shifted. Did he threaten you? Alicia shook her head. No. That's the scary part. He didn't have to. Belle leaned forward. Why? Alicia finally looked up. Because he had leverage. He lied about the festival email. Said we'd already been noticed. That this was our shot. Belle's jaw tightened. And when did you find out it was fake? Alicia's voice cracked. When he locked me under the ground, the room went quiet. He said it was for my own good, she continued. That fear would make the footage honest, that if I trusted him, I'd thank him later. Hodes clenched his fists. Belle asked the question she didn't want the answer to. Where were the others when that happened? Alicia shook her head slowly. He separated us, said it'd make the story cleaner. By evening, search teams found Nico's camera bag hidden in brush at a half-mile from the camp. Inside were batteries, memory cards, and a folded note written in Zach's handwriting. If you stop recording, you disappear. Belle read it twice. Then she handed it to Hodes. He's telling us what he wants, she said. Attention and control, Hodes added. The cyber unit finally broke through a layer of the account hosting the footage. Not enough to shut it down, but enough to see patterns. Upload times. Location metadata. Signal routing. He's close, the text said. Still local. Belle pointed to the map. Then we closed the net. They didn't announce it. No press. No alerts. Just unmarked cars and quiet movement along the river and through the industrial zones nearby. Belle knew Zach was watching. The less they gave him, the better. At 9:47 p.m., Hodes's phone buzzed. A private message. Unknown sender. You look tired, officer. Hodes showed Belle. Another message arrived before she could speak. You ever notice how people believe what they see, even when it's framed for them? Belle's voice hardened. He's baiting you. Hodes typed back anyway. Where are the others, Zach? The reply came instantly. Safe. For now. Belle grabbed the phone. Enough, she said. We don't negotiate with performers, but Zach had already pushed the next act live. A notification flashed across screens nationwide. Live the truth about the documentary case. Belle cursed. Get eyes on it. The feed opened on a shaky image. Night vision. Green tinted. The river glinting behind a silhouette. Zach stepped into frame. I didn't want it to be this way, he said calmly. But stories fight back when you try to control them. Comments flooded in, millions of them demanding answers, justice, blood. Zach smiled faintly. Let me be clear, I didn't kill anyone. Belle slammed her hand on the table. Liar. Zach continued. I documented what happens when ambition meets fear, when people choose success over safety. The feed cut, then resumed somewhere else. Under a bridge. The same bridge. Hodes recognized the angle instantly, the camera he had found blinking in the dirt. Zach's voice returned. One camera came back because one camera listened. Belle's radio crackled. Detective, we've got movement near the bridge. Go, Belle ordered. Now. Sirens screamed as units converged. They arrived to find the bridge empty. But the camera was there, still recording. Belle stared at it. He wants us chasing ghosts. A voice echoed from the speaker. Wrong, Zach said. I want you chasing the right ending. The camera panned. Two figures sat bound against a concrete pillar. TJ and Nico, alive, shivering. Hodes felt his breath hitch. Zach stepped into frame behind them, careful to stay out of reach. Bring Alicia, he said softly. Bring Officer Hodes, alone. Belle shook her head violently. No. Zach smiled. then the next upload won't be so patient. The feed cut. Hodes looked at Bell. He's escalating. Bell's face was stone. He's forcing a confrontation. And if we don't play? Hodes asked. Bell met his eyes. Then people die. Silence hung between them. Finally, Bell spoke. We set terms. They moved Alicia to protective custody under an assumed name, or so Bell told Zach through an intermediary message. In reality, Alicia sat in the back of an unmarked car a mile away, shaking, furious, alive. He used me, Alicia said. Let me help end this. Bell didn't answer. At midnight, Zach posted again. Not video, an image, a still frame from beneath the bridge. The hard drive lay on the ground between Zach's boots. Caption: Final cut. Bell felt the clock slam into place. He's done running, she said. He wants an audience for the finish. They traced the signal. It wasn't coming from the bridge anymore. It was coming from the old riverfront loading docks, abandoned, unstable, forgotten. Bell grabbed her jacket. Everyone moves. Quiet. As they rolled out, Hodes's phone buzzed one last time. A message from Zach. You taught me something, officer. If you control the story, you control the truth. Hodes stared at the screen. Because deep down, he knew Zach was right about one thing. Whoever held that hard drive decided how this would be remembered. And as the city slept, Zach was preparing to make sure the story ended exactly the way he wanted. The loading docks looked like a place the city had forgotten on purpose. Steel doors rusted in half-opened positions. Old rail lines disappeared into weeds. The river pressed close, black and fast, slapping against concrete pylons with a steady, impatient rhythm. Floodlights along the access road flickered as Bell's team rolled in dark and quiet. Engines cut a block out. Detective Raina Bell raised a fist. The line stopped. No sirens, she said. No announcements. He wants the moment. We take it from him. Officer Malcolm Hodes stood beside her. Jaw set, phone dark in his pocket. The weight of the case sat heavy in his chest. Not just the dead and the missing, but the millions of eyes waiting for something to happen. Waiting for a version of the truth that fit into a thumbnail. They moved in. Inside the main warehouse, the air smelled like mold and old fuel. Footsteps echoed too loudly, so they slowed, spread, listened. Somewhere deeper, a generator hummed. A camera whirred. Bell lifted her radio. Eyes up. A spotlight snapped on. It washed the far end of the warehouse in white and revealed a folding table, 2 chairs, and a camera on a tripod pointed directly at them. A red light blinked. Live. Zach Lehman stepped into the light, hands visible, calm as a host welcoming guests. "Thank you for coming," he said. "I was worried you'd rush it." Bell didn't stop walking. "Where are they, Zach?" Zach smiled, thin and pleased. Right where the story needs them. He gestured. The camera panned left. TJ and Nico sat bound but upright against a support beam, blankets wrapped tight around their shoulders, shaking, alive. Hodes felt the tightness in his chest loosen just enough to hurt. Belle raised her voice. "It's over! Hands behind your head!" Zach didn't move. "You can't arrest a narrative," he said. "Only interrupt it." Belle signaled the team. 2 officers peeled off. "Careful, we tie. Pawns trained." Zach's eyes flicked to the movement. "Easy," he warned. "You'll spook the audience." Hodes stepped forward into the light. "You framed me," he said. "Why?" Zach turned to him, earnest now, like this mattered most. "Because you understand stakes. Because people that trust you. And because when they see a good man dragged through doubt, they lean closer." Belle's patience snapped. "Cut the performance." Zach's smile faded. He nodded once, as if conceding a point. "Fine." He reached down and lifted the hard drive from the table, held it up between 2 fingers. "This," he said, "is the edit. Weeks of footage. Context stripped. Moments sharpened. I decide who's brave, who's cruel, who deserves sympathy." Belle stepped closer. "Put it down." Zach tilted his head. "You first." The camera whirred again. The live chat-and scene but imagined surged. Hodes felt the pull of it, the old instinct to explain, to control the damage. He forced it down. "Zach," he said evenly, "you killed a man." Zach's eyes flicked just once to the river beyond the broken windows. "I filmed what happened." Belle moved fast. She lunged, knocking the table aside. The camera toppled, clattered, kept rolling on its side. The hard drive slipped from Zach's hand and skidded across the concrete. Zach reacted not toward the drive, but toward the hostages. Hodes moved on instinct. He tackled Zach, driving him down hard. They hit the floor in a tangle of limbs and breath and rage. Zach clawed for Hodes's holster. Hodes pinned his wrist and drove a knee into his shoulder. "Don't!" Belle shouted. A warning shot cracked into the wall. Zach froze, chest heaving. For a second, he looked young, small. Then the mask slid back into place. "You'll never unring it," he said quietly. "They've already decided." Belle cuffed him, tight and final. "Decide this," she said. "You're done." The officers freed TJ and Nico. Paramedics rushed in, voices low, efficient. TJ clutched Hodes's arm, eyes wet. He kept saying it was for the story. Hodes swallowed. "You're safe now." Belle turned to Zach. "Where's Olivia?" Zach's gaze drifted to the river again. He didn't smile this time. "She wouldn't play along," he said. "She told me consent mattered." Hodes felt the words land like a blow. Divers searched until dawn. The river gave Olivia back downstream, quiet and still. The city woke to the news, and for once, the comments slowed. In interrogation, Zach talked, not with remorse, but with pride. He explained the fake emails, the staged leaks, the stolen voice. He explained how outrage amplified reach, how confusion created loyalty, how truth was pliable if you framed it first. Belle laid the evidence out piece by piece. Metadata, routing logs, the planted transmitters, the recovered camera feeds, the unedited timeline. The performance collapsed. Court followed. Sentencing followed. Zach received decades that felt heavy on paper and light in the shadow of what was lost. the footage was sealed. Months later, the loading docks sat empty again. The river kept moving. Hodes shut down his podcast. He couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, not by Zach, but by the hunger Zach had fed. He went back to patrol, back to the work that didn't need an audience. Alicia left the city. TJ transferred. Nico sold his cameras. A plaque went up near the art school with Olivia's name carved clean and permanent. On a gray afternoon, Hodes walked the river path beneath the bridge. The overpass hummed above him. The place looked ordinary now, which somehow felt worse. His phone buzzed. A new message. Unknown sender. You cut the wrong ending. Attached was a single image. Night vision. Grainy. A frame from the warehouse-wide angle. From a corner no one had mentioned. In the reflection of a puddle, a second camera blinked red. Hodes stared at it, then slid the phone back into his pocket and kept walking. Because some stories don't end when the cuffs click. They end when no one's watching. And if this one kept you holding your breath, stay close. The next case is already recording.